Hey, How to Write a Novel, week 4. I apologize if this episode is windy. I hope it isn't. It's fucking windy out. Man, I gotta say, I think I'm opposed to drinking. It's just like, man, I mean, the last time I got real drunk was last summer. I went to this cottage with some friends of mine in Ontario, and I just drank way too much the last day. And then on the ride home, it was so awful. I was sitting in the back seat of my friend Mike's car, and I was just like staring out the front window, trying to hold myself steady, trying to like will myself to take big, deep breaths. Because if I closed my eyes, I felt like I was gonna barf. It was just a horrible time. But I really only drink when I'm with friends or if I'm in Montreal. Like if I've got to go into a liquor store, which is how it works in Canada, you got to go in a distinct place, and then just having to go into a separate building and wait in a line and go through the whole rigmarole, that's just a pain that I don't want to do. And then it also just feels like if you're going to go through that effort, that you should then just buy a shit ton of booze, because you might as well get your time's worth out of it. So I just don't do it. I drink coffee, which arguably I drink too much of that as well. But in Montreal, though, it's more like the States. You can just buy booze in convenience stores and stuff, and I was way more likely to just buy a can or two of beer whenever I'm there, which can be kind of gross in like the morning when you got to wash down your daily vitamins and all you've got is like a little bit of warm beer in the bottom of a can, because I'll buy beer and not think to buy like a bottle of water. But I mean, it certainly proves that having access to things makes a huge difference. When I have access to beer, when I can just buy it with a can of Pringles, then I might. If I got to go to a separate store, then I'm not going to bother. And I think that does relate to a lot of stuff. Like, if you want more time to write, you want less distractions, the best thing you can do is just eliminate the possibilities, whatever shit you've got in your life that is not really important and is just eating up time. Just get rid of it, man. Don't give yourself the option. Donate your things and get rid of your junk. Or like if you're trying to eat healthier, just don't have fucking like cookies and shit in your house. And then if you have to leave the house and walk to a convenience store or a gas station to buy some cookies, go for it. Go ahead. Go get those cookies. But again, just buy like one big cookie. Don't buy like a whole fucking pack of cookies. But if you've got that extra barrier, makes a world of difference in the long term. So anyway, I've really been doing like no drinking out west, because I've really just been focusing on the writing thing and haven't been hanging out with a lot of people. Just haven't bought booze, and that's that. So I guess maybe my tolerance is way down. But man, at Vince's little gathering yesterday, I didn't drink that much, like 3 beer, but I guess they're like, I don't know, big ass bowling alley beers. They were really tall cups, so maybe that counts as more like 5 beer. I don't know. It was too many anyway, because it's just been such a long time since I felt that next day feeling. It's just like, man, this is fucking awful. Like, it's amazing how easy it is to get used to stuff like that, and you're just like, well, that's just how it is. Just gotta drink once in a while, and then just fucking gotta try to shake it off the next day. And you just kind of accept that. But holy fuck, it's not worth it. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's kind of tough not to drink in social situations. I'm trying to envision myself at the bowling alley not drinking. It's like, well, then what the fuck are we at this bowling alley for? We're not bowling. You know? But man, yeah, I just felt so shitty this morning. It's like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. Drinking sucks. So yeah, still not really on my game. Didn't do a ton today, but I mean, I guess that's almost pointless to point out, right? Because I don't do that much any day. That's not the point. But what I did do is I finished this chapter I was writing, and man, I love when things just change as you're writing, even though it's not what you intended, but it's just, you can just tell that it's the better thing. that the new version is way clearly better. Where I was just going to have this character observing another character and just seeing which way they walk down the street. If they walk toward me, I'll talk to them. If they walk away, I won't. But as I was writing, that just didn't fit. Instead, it was like I just could feel, I could know that this character just still isn't ready to talk to her compatriots. Just not time yet. All of these survivors of this big war calamity. Because if they talk, there's only one thing to talk about, about this tragedy that happened, and they just don't want to. They're not ready. Nobody wants to talk about this thing. But I haven't actually said that in the book. I've had them all very deliberately not speaking to each other, and kind of intended for it to be like a big moment when she finally reveals that to somebody of this species that she's from that is on the surface very tough. Just the reality of how hard they're taking things. But that moment can still be that moment. But I just realized, like, this moment now is where she's got to just say it to herself, even if it's just in the form of the text in the book, just letting the reader in on this. Because it's been a while that little mystery's been hanging over the story. Time to give that one up. Time to make that one clear. So I did that. I was very pleased. I'm like, yeah, there we go. That's the one. And now this chapter really is done for real, for real. And next chapter, I don't have anything specific. Once again, I'll have to go through my notes and sort it out. I've got sort of a vague sense of tone that I'm going for. I guess I just kind of want to move in toward the two main characters just being on more conversational terms. Still not super close, but close enough that I don't have to explain each time why they're hanging out and why they're talking. I suspect I'll just go with that, and then that'll be fine for this draft. On the second draft, if it seems like it happened too fast, then I can worry about that on the second draft. But because I'm hungover and shitty feeling, I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'll deal with that tomorrow. Because there's always that naggy part of my brain that's like, yeah, you could do it today. You could probably buckle down and do it. And I know this is my recurring leitmotif of this fucking podcast, is constantly explaining this, but it's just something that keeps coming up that I feel like I always have to remind myself. Is like, if I force the work today, I could have forced myself to sit down somewhere even though my head feels all shitty. Even though I already did work for today. I finished this chapter. It's all done. So I could sit down and start trying to pull together tomorrow, but I'd just be miserable doing that today. Where I'm actually like excited about the idea of doing it tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, tomorrow I'll feel better. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'll go find a coffee shop and I'll sit down and I'll pour through all these notes and I'll figure out where I'm going with this and what's going to happen next. And it's going to be cool. And putting stuff off till tomorrow is a bad thing to do if you haven't done any work today. If you haven't done anything, don't put off till tomorrow, because that's what turns into the infinity loop of just like you just put it off forever and suddenly it's just, you're just not working on that project anymore, as though by evil magic. But because I did do work today, I finished this chapter. I even kind of came up with a cooler thing than I intended. It doesn't matter that on the face of it, I didn't do very much work today. It's 20 or 30 minutes or something. That's fine. Because I did do something and I'm all set for tomorrow. And I guess the point of this method of writing a book is that idea of sustainability, that it doesn't matter if I'm wiped out and drunk like yesterday. It doesn't matter if I'm wiped out and hungover like today. I can still move the pieces forward. I can still move the thing ahead. There's really no situation besides a meteor striking the earth, or someone shooting my kneecaps off or something, that's gonna stop me from doing something each day. And that slow, unrelenting progress is just way more valuable in the long run than any flash in the pan of additional extra effort. Maybe I would have felt real cool by buckling down today and doing extra work and being like, yeah, even when I feel like shit, I did it. I did all this work. But I don't. I suspect not. I think I would actually feel the opposite. I would just be like, oh, I actually hate writing. I hate being a writer. I hate this whole life that I've decided on. What am I doing? And then creeping existential dread could come in and wreck everything. Fuck that. Man, I love to just little kind of just affirmations or confirmations that you're doing the right thing, or just little bits of advice from places just really can be helpful sometimes. Where I'm starting to waffle a little bit on just why I'm out here on the West Coast, basically. I came out here for the winter, but the winter is going to wrap up soon. I've got an Airbnb set up for next month, for March. And I was like, now what? Do I still stay here? Do I go back east? It's different reasons why I could do this or do that. But I just don't have a clear... I don't really care, I guess. It doesn't really matter where I am. So I should probably just default to staying on the West Coast for now, because it's not like plane tickets are free. So I got a place for April. It was actually kind of weird. It was like kind of off the beaten path, a little bit of an odd place I've never been. This place, White Rock. I have been there once to visit, but I was like, what if I just go there for like a couple of weeks, see what that's like. So I got that all set up, but I just got the message yesterday that my Airbnb thing just got canceled and the money refunded back. I never heard one word from the lady who owned the house, so I don't know what that was all about. But it just brings back the question. It's like, okay, well, now I'm back to that same question. Do I find a new place out west? I'm still far enough ahead of the curve that I could head back east now. I could go to Montreal. I do really love Montreal. Well, it's probably still going to be cold there. I just don't know. It's that annoyingness of just indecisiveness. And in my weakened state, it's just kind of preoccupying me this morning. I woke up just feeling like blah. But I'm reading this book by this guy, Tim Ferriss. I found his book, The 4-Hour Work Week, in a Value Village the other day at a thrift store. I really don't know this guy at all. It's just I've heard Joe Rogan and Jocko Willink and these different people talk about him. There's like a good little cabal of these people on like YouTube or who do podcasts that are just, nice little motivational people. I like Elliot Hulse a lot also. I got into exercise a few years ago basically entirely because of him. So I'm reading this guy, Tim Ferriss's book, and he seems pretty cool. But he said this one really simple little thing that's just really obvious and not like deep or anything, but just great, just what I needed to read. That was basically just not to waste your time focusing on your weaknesses, It's like, with me, you could look at it two ways. Either it's cool that I can travel around by myself and Airbnb around and be comfortable, or you could also look at it as I can't nail down a normal life. I barely count as a citizen. I don't even have a health card right now. It's like I move provinces too often. My old one expired. I don't have an address to get a new one sent to. Hopefully nothing bad happens to me before I sort that out. But forget all that. Who cares about that? Who cares about the less capable parts of my life and of my personality? It's really just not worth putting a lot of time into. It just it's not beneficial. Whereas if I focus on the stuff that I'm good at, I can do shit that nobody on earth can do. That's just literally true in the case of a book. And as far as I'd say editing is my main talent. Editing audio, editing video, editing words, hopefully. Presumably that also connects. But yeah, I really do feel like I'm just world class. I can just do that shit so well. It's where whatever weird OCDs and bizarre psychological constructs I've got going on all focus down into making me excellent at this one thing. And it's don't worry about the other shit. Who gives a shit? Focus on the thing that you're great at, because that's the thing that's going to make a difference. That's the thing that's going to lead somewhere and is going to make the other stuff not that important. That was nice. Just a nice thing to hear. That's what I liked to hear today. That's what I needed to hear. And there was something similar in Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, that I also thought was great, where he talks about different kinds of resistance and just the ways that, a person can talk themselves into not doing work. And one of them is the attempt to repair and self-heal. And that can just go on forever. It's like I can never sit down and really focus on my work. I can never really get my life's work done until I finish with the healing. Got to figure out what's wrong with me and figure out what's wrong in my soul and wrong with my brain and wrong with my personality and blah, blah, blah. And when does that end? That's a noble goal, but it can just go on forever. There's no end to that. There's no reason why you can't still accomplish it and get your work done while the side dish of self-improvement is happening. You can't try to just have it be complete, because it's never going to happen. Alright, this traffic and the ever-present buzz that happens in this neighborhood are driving me crazy. So I'm going to play some song. I don't know what song. I'll decide later when I'm editing. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You're still alive. Of course I'm alive. No one can defeat me.